Time now for the latest in local news. In the news, the Wayne County Board of Education has a work session this afternoon at 6 p.m. at the Tech Center. On the agenda under items of business, a discussion of photo speed enforcement system for City of Scriven. Also, a discussion of the Sex Education Advisory Committee recommendation by School Superintendent Jay Brinson. Dr. Brinson will give a COVID-19 update. Also, a discussion on Southern Pines College and Career Academy finance report, executive session, all that this afternoon at 6 p.m. at the Tech Center. The COVID-19 update has been released by the school system for the week of March 1st to the 5th. And the numbers continue to go in a positive direction. At the school system, only 3 weekly positive cases reported during the week of March 1st to the 5th, and no weekly positive cases among employees in the Wayne County school system. So again, good numbers reported the week of March 1st through the 5th. Wayne County School System is joining a statewide celebration next week to salute the efforts of local school board members. The week of March 15th to the 19th has been proclaimed School Board Appreciation Week in the state of Georgia. Week-long observance calls attention to the contributions of local boards of education. Dr. Jay Brinson says citizens elect board members to represent the community's voice on education matters and to set the vision for the school district. He says our board spends countless hours fulfilling its responsibilities and working together to continually improve the education system. Again, the board members are Chairman Nick Ellis in District 5, Vice Chairman Joe McPipkin in District 1, Bruce Harris, District 2, Ray Davis in District 3, and Sharon Daniel, District 4. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, up at the state capitol in Atlanta, invoking the name of Ahmaud Arbery, a man who was shot and killed last year in Brunswick, Georgia, the Georgia House unanimously voted to overhaul the state citizens arrest law that allows Georgians to arrest someone they suspect of committing a crime. Law came under scrutiny after it was cited by law enforcement last year not to charge three white men involved in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, who's black. The rollback of the law is a top priority this session by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, who says overhaul strikes a critical balance between protecting the lives and livelihoods of our families in our neighborhood and preventing rogue vigilantism from threatening the security and God-given potential of all Georgians. The bill passed Monday by a vote of 173 to 0. An overwhelming show of support that surprised many observers at the Capitol. Representative Burt Reeves of Marietta, Georgia, the bill's sponsor, says Ahmaud's death is not in vain. He says his life and legacy is going to be an agent of change, and he says in this General Assembly in 2021, every single one of us has the opportunity to take part in Ahmaud's legacy. House Bill 479 would repeal the citizens arrest law while still allowing employees of businesses, security offices, private investigators, and inspectors at truck scales to detain someone they believe has committed a crime. The bill also would allow law enforcement officers to make arrests outside their jurisdictions. If Georgia passes the bill, it will be the first state to remove a citizen's arrest statute from its books, as all 50 states have a version of the law in place. Law in Georgia gained national attention after 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was running in a neighborhood in Brunswick when he was shot and killed after being chased by 3 men who claimed they believed Arbery was a burglar. Local prosecutors initially declined to charge the men, citing the citizens arrest law. After the video of the shooting was made public in May, GBI began to investigate the case. Citizens arrest law was disregarded. All 3 men had been charged with murder. They all had pled not guilty. All 3 remain behind bars in jail, denied bond. Current state law allows any Georgian who believes he or she has witnessed a crime to arrest the suspected offender if the crime is committed in his or her presence within immediate knowledge. If the crime is a felony and the person suspected of committing the crime tries to flee, Georgians are allowed to arrest that person upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. After the unanimous vote on Monday in the House to pass the bill, it now goes to the Senate for its consideration. Also in Atlanta, the state capitol legislative session continues, and on Friday, the Georgia House approved a $27.2 billion state budget for the coming year that would borrow $1 billion for construction projects and continue to backfill spending cuts that lawmakers made in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Fiscal 2022 budget, which goes into effect July 1, now moves to the Senate for its consideration after the House passed it by a vote on Friday of 136 to 31. Governor Kemp last month signed a mid-year budget which runs through the 30th of June that included $1,000 bonuses for most state employees and 10% raises for prison guards and juvenile justice guards. House Fiscal 2022 budget does not include any of the federal money the state will receive if Congress approves the latest COVID-19 relief plan. House spending plan agreed with much of what the governor proposed for the coming year's budget. It backs the plan to spend $40 million on a rural innovation fund and $10 million to extend high-speed internet in rural areas. House budget writers agreed to backfill 60% of the education spending reductions by lawmakers approved last year when they cut the budget by 10% because of fears the state's revenues would plummet during the pandemic. Also, on Monday, the Georgia Senate passed a bill to roll back no excuse absentee voting and require more voter ID, which would create new obstacles for voters after last year's presidential election. Legislation would reduce the availability of absentee voting, restricting it to those who are at least 65 years of age or older, have a physical disability, or are out of time. In addition, Georgians would need to provide a driver's license number, state ID number, or other identification. Senate approved the bill on a party line vote, 29 to 20. A one-vote majority of the chamber's 56 senators required by the Georgia Constitution to pass. Democrats are united against the legislation. On Monday, it took 3 hours of passionate debate before the vote was taken. Democrats said the restrictions would especially harm black voters after struggles for ballot access during the civil rights movement. 4 Republican senators excused themselves before the vote, along with Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, the Senate's presiding officer, who opposes the bill but doesn't get a vote. The bill now advanced to the House of Representatives. Again, today we have State Senator Blake Tilley on the show. We'll get his thoughts on all this legislation taking place at the Georgia Capitol. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages. Please stay tuned. Final note of news, GBI is still searching for the help of the community in the first murder of the year, which occurred on January 13th. Again, still no arrest in the brutal shooting death of 31-year-old Jerry Davis, who was shot and killed in his residence on Oglethorpe Road. Davis was shot multiple times at his residence at 2696 Oglethorpe Road. GBI says it's still under investigation and still encouraging anyone with any information to call their tip line. That phone number is 800-597-8477. You can call their Kingsland office at 912-729-6198. Or you can contact the Wayne County Sheriff's Department at 427-5970. 31-year-old Jerry Davis, again, murdered in his home back on January 13th. Brutal killing. He was shot several times, employed by McDaniel Vending in Wayne County. Once again, anyone with any information about the killing is asked to call the tip line at 800-597-8477. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan said, have a great day.